TV News Channel 5. These are the top stories. An ad hoc committee set up to investigate findings into complaint filed by dismissed employees by the former Auditor General has submitted its findings to plenary. Montserrado County District Number 8 Representative Akaras Gray has submitted a communication calling on that body to summon the Managing Director of the Liberia Electricity Corporation and the Minister of Lands, Mines and Energy. Montserrado County District Number 13 Representative Sir H. Joseph has submitted a bill for the establishment of an Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of Liberia. Nimba County Representative C. Wuladuna has written a communication to summon the Central Bank of Liberia Governor Mill Jones and Finance Minister Amara Kone over the depreciation of the Liberian dollars against the United States dollars. And the Civil Law Court has issued a writ of arrest against the managing editor of Front Page Africa, Rodney C. These are the top stories on Clar TV. An ad hoc committee set up by members of the House of Senate has completed findings into complaints filed by dismissed employees of the former Auditor General of the General Auditing Commission. According to Grand Bassa County Senator Nyongli Kanga Lawrence, the former employees were wrongfully dismissed by the dismissed GSC boss, Robert Kiwi. In the findings, the committee details several wrongful acts that was committed against the former employees. The committee's recommendation was contained in a report filed by the committee. The committee was mandated to produce copies of the report and distribute them to individual senators.
Restructuring exercise. The several employees did not get 1 month notice of dismissal according to both the labor law of Liberia and the GSC HR rules. Also, the dismissed employees were not paid for 1 month in lieu of notice. The Human Resource Department of GSC did not follow the last in, first out administrative rule. Almost all of the employees affected had a subordinate that was employed at the GSC after their employment. There is a particular case where one employee worked for 13 years and was paid for 3 months as severance instead of 13 months. The GSC did an entire restructuring exercise instead of 7. The exercise accommodated over 70 additional employees and added more departments. In this case, there was no need for severance. Considering the function of the GSC is overstaffed and functions are duplicated. The total number of the staff at GSC is 464. The GSC also built the capacity of most of the several employees and did nothing to utilize the skills acquired, or instead re-employed new people who had to be trained again for the new positions. I'll go to the recommendations. Our recommendation states the GSC should make 1 month payment in lieu of notice to all retrenched employees in keeping with section 1508, subsection 3 and 4 of the labor law. It's stated in this report. Second recommendation, that any GSC employee who worked for 13 years and was paid for 3 months during the retrenchment exercise should be paid the balance 10 months. That GSC should submit a report to the Senate to the committee to justify why 14 employees were retrenched and committed concomitantly the employment of 70 employees, some in the same positions, and the creation of more departments. That all retrenched employees who work for more than 5 months into the year before the dismissal should be paid for additional 1 month each. The Senate should forward this report to the Ministry of Labor for further actions, including but not limited to possible re-employment, according to Chapter 1 of Section 9 of the Labor Law, on a wrongful dismissal agrees. Where wrongful dismissal is alleged, the Labor Court shall have power to order reinstatement or may order payment of reasonable compensation to the aggrieved employee in lieu of reinstatement. The party against whom the order is made shall have the right of election to reinstate or pay such compensation in assessing the amount of such compensation, the labor law should have regard to reasonable expressions in the case of dismissal in the contract of independent commission. Mr. Presiding, distinguished colleagues, the summary of our report on behalf of the committee, this report is signed by Senator Jonathan Barney, member, Senator Momo, member, and Senator Lemmy Kanga, chairperson.
Grand-Bassa County Senator Nyongri Kanga Lawrence presenting findings on the dismissed GSC employees, speaking during plenary section. Montserrado County District Number 13 Representative Akaros Gray has presented a complaint to members of the legislature, calling on that body to summon the managing director of the Liberia Electricity Corporation in the Ministry of Lands, Mines and Energy to explain why electricity has not been distributed in every part of Monrovia. In her complaint, the Congress for Democratic Change lawmaker said he was deeply appalled that electricity has not been distributed to every part of the community. The two officials are expected to appear in plenary to give reasons why electricity was not being distributed since 2006.
Of electrifying Monrovia in this environment as far as 2005-2006. The communication is very clear. Like we said, 8 years have come and gone. Too many errors even in the heartbeat of the city center that include district number 8 and other electoral districts, a lack of electricity to a greater extent. Our people are persistently crying, and our job and duty is to seek the interest of the people. They have asked too many questions why we do not benefit from electricity. Why is it that Monrovia is partially electrified? I live on Capital Bypass. Like I said in the communication, Capital Bypass is a very historical street, officially known as Selassie Avenue. This street hosts not only the Capitol building of the University of Liberia, but a historical place it has among streets in our country is very significant. Like for example, Ken Johnson Road. The people of Ken Johnson Road are desperately yearning for electricity, where we have almost the highest number of Liberian registered businesses or schools. Urine Drive benefits a whole lot for electricity. Whether the question is whether the Lebanese or the Indians are there, and that is the issue. But I said to you, distinguished speaker, co-presiding, my fellow colleagues, many of you live in Monrovia, and many of you use generators instead of electrical power for LEC. We met the management team of LEC in the past. They committed themselves that being the densely populated area in Monrovia will benefit from electricity. Poles have been planted for over 8 months. Electrical lines have not been on those poles. The crime rate is extremely high in Monrovia. Not only that, homes are being burned either by generators or piano lights. Months ago, just in my own terrain, a mother who just had a child had to escape her home, and the child had to be born in the home as a result of candlelight. The situation is pathetic, and it raises a huge concern. On the basis of that, I, as representative of the people of District Number 8, here the Republic of Liberia, I come to this plenary to appeal to your conscience and to appeal to your concern, because we have placed money in the budget for electricity in the past. International partners are giving money for electricity. Commitments have been made, yet our people live in darkness. The only solution, in my belief, After talking to a series of individuals in the executive and at the corporation itself, the Liberia Electricity Corporation, there is not an answer yet as I speak to you.
Montserrado County Representative Akaras Gray calling on his colleagues to summon the Managing Director of LEC and the Minister of Lands, Mines and Energy to justify the failure of electricity not being distributed to every part of Monrovia and its environs. Nimba County Representative Wallace Duna has written a communication to members of the House of Representatives to summon the Central Bank Governor Mel Jones and Finance Minister Amara Pone over the devaluation of the US dollars against the Liberian currency. He said the CBL is not taking any practical financial measures to remedy the situation which is affecting the lives of ordinary people. The communication was accepted and the CBL Governor and Finance Minister will appear in committee room.
As the letter itself have said, the Liberians, the life of the common Liberians is getting tough daily. And our laws have clearly given to the Central Bank of Liberia to manage the money supply and to manage the dual currency regime we have. But unfortunately, in the last 3-4 months, as the United States dollar appreciates and the Liberian dollar depreciates, to the extent where it's almost 80-1, the central bank has taken no monetary actions and it is impacting the lives of our people. For example, civil servant salary, which has been pegged on the United States dollar, has lost its value. For example, the copper rice in the market for the common man has gone up. So everything is going up because the United States dollar value is going up. And this poses a problem. The rainy season is a time of hunger in this country. What is happening to the poor people? We will also realize that, Honorable Speaker, over time, the finance ministry and the central bank have overlooked some of the key indicators that tends to drive the United States dollars upward. For example, this is the only country where they sell scratch card United States dollar, which is foreign exchange. This is the only country where taxi drivers go to get their lessons and pay United States dollars. As a result, all of these, I think, in my view, are factors. But at no time have the central bank addressed the issue in all of the documents they sent to us here. So as the monetary advisor to the government, I wanted to come here and explain what is happening in the economy. The finance ministry that is responsible for fiscal policy, the finance ministry, the chairman of banking and currency has always been concerned about these matters. And we know of his interest and his zeal. But the will of plenary is what will prevail. So in my summation, Mr. Speaker, the issue needs to be addressed, and I put it to plenary to find a way forward, because my objective at the end of the day is to relieve the Liberian people who are suffering now. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Nimba County Representative Wallace Duna for filing a complaint against CBL Governor Mel Jones and Finance Minister Amara Pone over the depreciation of the Liberian dollars against the US dollars. Montserrado County District Number 13 Representative Sahish Joseph has submitted an act calling for the establishment of an Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of Liberia. He said the intent of the bill is to curb the current wave of economic and financial crimes being perpetrated, which has a propensity to stifle the resurgent economy. If passed, the bill will investigate all cases of financial crimes, including advance fee fraud, money laundering, counterfeiting, illegal transfer, market fraud, fraudulent encashment of negotiable instrument, computer-related fraud, and contract scam.
The Economic and Financial Crime Commission that should be established in Liberia that describe corruption and corrupt practices in every sector, private sector, and in government as well. And I think we should be looking at the solution to those problems as a nation. And this is why I decided to come up with this bill that will finally eliminate corruption in our country, not just in government places or government sector, but there are other areas, even in government social working communities, businesses. There are corrupt practices there. And we have also looking at a situation where our banking sector have been struggling, and knowing fact that there are some workers who are now probably financially disciplined, and so we have decided, I personally decided to come up with this bill that can take Liberia to another level. If you're looking at the corrupt countries listing, Liberia is high on that number. And it is our responsibility as government officials to be able to do all we can so that we can take Liberia to another map.
What can you tell the public between the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission and this commission you are proposing for?
Well, the difference between the Liberia Anti-Corruption and this Economic and Financial Crime Commission is that the Financial Crime Commission will have the power to prosecute. And also they will have the power to make sure that all those treaties that were signed between Liberians and other countries, when you take away money from here, you travel to any part of the world, this commission will have the power to make sure that you return back to Liberia for investigation and for questioning.
The LACC has been calling the legislature to grant it prosecutorial power. Why don't you give it that power instead of creating another commission?
Well, the function of this commission will cover more than what even the LACC is covering or have been covering. So the best we can do, the LACC is going to be part of the process. The Liberia Intelligence Unit, also Financial Intelligence Unit will also be part of this process. And they all will work together, and this commission will consist of commissioners, comprises of past bank governors, past finance ministers that will work together, that will be able to work to be able to solve the problem in our country.
Don't you think this commission could render the LACC insignificant?
No, not so. They are going to coordinate. The LACC and this commission, if they've been approved, they all will work together as a team to move forward. Now, if this commission, this bill is passed and approved, this commission will coordinate, and it makes the work very easy for the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission.
The only thing, the introduction of this proposed bill.
Montserrado County District Number 13 represents Ahis Joseph explaining about the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of Liberia, submitted to plenary for discussion and passage at his Capitol Building office in Monrovia today. The publisher of the independent front page newspaper, Rodney C., says he will have no regret should he be sent to prison. Front Page Africa has been going through legal battles for publication of stories, many referred to as anti-government. Rodney C. spoke to Clar TV News at the Temple of Justice in Monrovia.
Dr. Crystal.
Correct.
Now that this is the case, what do you do next?
I'm going to jail.
What do you make of the case?
The case was frivolous, it was fraud, it was a tragedy of justice. It was like the worst experience anybody can experience in this country. We had the GAC audit. We had two auditor generals appear in court and testify in the case. We had the Guthrie Plantation audit. We had the president letter instructing the GAC to audit Pacato, and yet and still we lost the case. We all, in this country, we say we want justice, we want fair play, but then they come to you and they treat you like dogs. So that's it.
Do you consider this as a witch hunt?
It's a witch hunt against not only Rodney C. or Front Page Africa, it's a witch hunt against every journalist in this country. They're telling you that you cannot report about corruption unless the person is found guilty. They're telling you that you cannot rely on GSC report to write a story. They're telling you that you cannot rely on PPCC document to write a story. They're telling you you cannot rely on any document from anybody saying somebody is corrupt to write a story.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like our country has lost its identity, and it's sad because everywhere in this country we talk about freedom of press, freedom of expression, and yet it's still, every now and then they come and pick someone up and say you help you against it.
Do you have any intention to appeal?
We're going to ECOWAS court. My lawyer, Councillor Kofi Woods, is on his way in the process of the appeal process to the ECOWAS Community Court. And that's where we are. The London-based media defense legal group is helping us also with funding to take our case to ECOWAS. If we can't get justice in our own country, we have to go outside to get it.
Now, what justice do you expect from a regional body, especially the court you speak of, and especially wherein within our conference of laws, this is the final arbiter?
Liberia is a signatory to the ECOWAS communique, so they have to abide. But even if they don't abide by it, it's all about a moral victory. Even if what we have here is a Pyrrhic victory for us. Pyrrhic victory is a victory gained at a great loss.
So you're not going to pay that money?
We're not going to pay the money. We don't have the money to pay. We don't have the assets to pay that kind of money.
So you go to jail?
We go to jail. That's where I am.
While you are in jail, how are you going to go to ECOWAS?
My lawyer, Councilor Fields, is handling the case. He will take it from there.
Let's talk in terms of perhaps you need a bond to guarantee you're going to ECOWAS or whatever you want to do. Is that the case, really?
If that's the case, we'll come to that. But as I said now, I'm under arrest.
This is your second time going to prison. How do you actually feel?
I feel sad that our country speak about freedom and justice and equality, and yet still we still experience a lot of sad tragedy in this country. But the fight is not over. The fight is just beginning. We're going to keep fighting until we die. If that's what it would take for Liberia to understand that the legal dynamics of this country has changed, if that's what it would take, that's what we'll do.
So you're just prepared for that?
I'm prepared for anything that's right now.
You regret the situation?
I have no regrets. If I had to do it all over again, if I had a document that said Minister X or Minister Y stole money, and the President is instructed the GSC or someone to investigate, I would publish that document. I would not change anything. If that's, you see, the problem we don't understand here is they want you to change your way of reporting. Only Liberia I see where the justice system here is so messed up that they want you to abide by what they say is the new journalism terminology. They want you to do things their way, and we can't have it that way. They say I'm arrogant. I'm not arrogant. I'm just following my principles. And my principle, the way I was taught was, you get a document, you verify the document, and you publish the story. You get both sides of the story. That's what we did in this case. The guy is going to jail for it. I'm going to jail.
What become the features of the front page African because you are going?
Well, we'll keep. Well, as it stands now, they're going to take all our assets from the office, I guess. Although the assets don't belong to us because we have another company. That, you know. So we have to see what happens from here. But as it stands now, the fight.
That was the publisher of the Front Page Africa, Rodney C, explaining to Clar TV about the legal suit. The president of the President of Liberia, Peter Kwekwe, has expressed disappointment in the inability of the Liberian government to live up to the terms of the Table Mountain Declaration. Liberia President Peter Kwekwe told journalists that he views the Front Page Africa crisis as an attempt by the government to silence the independent press.
Our country is moving in this direction, in spite of all of the noise that we've made about freedom of the media. For us to reach this stage that the court is arresting journalists because they did not pay $1.5 million, and I think too many of us will go to jail because I'm not sure all of us combined can pay that amount of money. So this is completely unfortunate.
What's the position of the President of Liberia regarding this?
I don't know what the position you're asking about. I'm just saying that this is unfortunate. I know that anywhere in the world, when governments are keen on allowing the media to work, to operate, that any court that believes in justice and fair play and quality will make these kinds of rulings to award a government official who uses state resources to prosecute a journalist and give him a $1.5 million reward for a case of this nature that is surrounded by a controversy and corruption. This is unfortunate.
Do you consider this as a fight against press freedom in Liberia?
Well, you might have your own interpretation, but I can say simply that this is a contradiction in the arguments of our government. That we talk about, you know, being friends of the media. We talk about press freedom and all the courts. I don't know how our courts can be given these kinds of penalties. I mean, this is nothing more than a death sentence. What is even more, surprising to me, there is a ruling that calls for payment of an amount I mean, if you can't pay, there's a closure. While you're arresting the journalists to go to jail. So this has had a motive, and it is that motive that all of us should really keep. And unless we pay attention to this, I'm sure there's a system, it's a pattern that we probably, all of us will probably get affected by.
What do you hope to see come out of this case?
I think the court and the government will do well to dismiss this, to drop this, to forget about this. It doesn't make any sense to me. You're not making anybody to change. If you're going to shut down the paper, you're going to arrest the journalist because he's guilty for libel. I mean, yesterday our president signed what is called the table mounting. And if we sign table mounting and then we come to court, you're charging journalists to pay $1.5 million in these kinds of cases, I think it's a contradiction. It doesn't make sense to me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
BUF President Peter Kwekwe speaking at the Temple of Justice in Monrovia. Still at the judiciary branch of government, the trial involving 18 individuals from Grenchide has taken a different dramatic turn in open court. According to Councillor Tiawan Konglo, who led his legal interest, the defendant has been accused by a court reporter of secretly leaking out information to the prosecutor.
Historically, the trials involving the 18 individuals from Grand Jida County has taken a different dramatic trend with the defense 17 witnesses, Alice, Bobby, Julu, Sabi, on the cross-examination by the prosecution have given different accounts of testimony in this proceeding. He admitted of knowing many of those guys that have been listed on the list of the prosecution. But during the cross-examinations, the defense lawyer filed a motion of injunction that the prosecution was reading from the meaning of the court record that was in possession of the court. According to Councillor Tiawan Konglo in court, who is representing the legal interests of the defendant, accused the court reporters of secretly linking out information to the prosecution. This action prompted the court, the judge of criminal court, D. Yusuf Kabat, to suspend the matter and subsequent call for an investigation into this matter. Tiawan Konglo and the rest of the guys are still remain agitated in the manner in which how these proceedings are ongoing. While yesterday, Bobby Sapi testified in the proceeding, denying much allegations into the proceeding. He said that the government of Liberia is prosecuting him because after the torture of his father, the late Charles Julu, he accused the government of Liberia as executing his father. That testimony was actually given in court. From the judicial branch of government, Clar TV's Channel 5 News, Tamba Johnny.
That was our judicial correspondent Tamba Johnny reporting from the Temple of Justice in Monrovia. In foreign developments, 82 child soldiers have been freed in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And in Nigeria, 3 Korean doctors have been killed by unknown suspects. Now to recap Clar TV News Channel 5, let's recap our major top stories once again. An ad hoc committee set up to investigate findings into complaint filed by dismissed employees by the former Editor General has submitted its finding to plenary. Montserrado County District No. 8 Representative Akaras Gray has submitted a communication calling on that body to summon the Managing Director of LEC and the Minister of Lands, Mines and Energy to give reasons why electricity has not been distributed across Monrovia and its environs. Montserrado County District No. 13 Representative Sir H. Joseph has submitted a bill for the establishment of an Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of Liberia. Nimba County Representative Wole C. Duna has written a communication to summon Central Bank of Liberia Governor May Jones and Finance Minister Amara Kone over the depreciation of the Liberian dollars against the US dollars. And the Civil Law Court has issued a writ of arrest against the managing editor of Front Page Africa, Rodney C. That's Clar TV News, Channel 5. I'm T. Michael Johnny.